You're listening to the Sales Chameleon Podcast. Smarter sales, stronger growth, simplified.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Sales Chameleon Podcast, where selling smarter starts. I'm your host, Heather Coggins, and today what I'm going to be doing is diving into really understanding the social style matrix and why that's important. And you may be, asking yourself, what the hell is the social style matrix? And I'm going to get into it. But here's the twist, right? We're not just talking about identifying someone's primary social style. And that's kind of what I've been talking a lot about, in episodes leading up to this. So today I'm going to really take it a step further and explore the concept of secondary styles and how versatility plays into the mix. Okay, so if you've ever interacted with someone who, seemed to be one thing, but in a different setting, they maybe acted completely different. And so maybe they were originally super direct and results driven, but suddenly they start asking a bunch of detailed questions and asking for data when they're surrounded by other direct and decisive types. And there's a reason for that. And it's all about understanding the dynamics of social styles within the context of this social style matrix. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive right in and start breaking it down. So I want to start mapping out social styles in terms of, like, if we think of it as a graph with two axes, okay? And so if we look at the x-axis, that's going to represent that ask versus tell dimension. And so people on that ask side, they're going to prefer to really engage more collaboratively. They're going to lean towards asking a lot of questions, gathering input, and then processing before making a decision. Okay, while on the other hand, the tell side, they're going to be a lot more direct and assertive, and they're going to tend to share their opinions very confidently. And then they also tend to take charge of the conversation. Now, when we look at the y-axis, that's going to be your task versus relationship dimension. And so on the task end, you've got your people who are focused on efficiency, goals, and results, okay? No fluff, just kind of getting things done. While on the relationship side, these folks are going to tend to prioritize really building that rapport, building up trust, and having things in a more collaborative effort. And so when you end up combining the two dimensions, the X and the Y axes, you end up getting 4 quadrants, okay? And so if we start with kind of that top right-hand quadrant, those are going to be where your driver social styles lie. So they're going to be your task-focused and tell-assertive social styles, and these are going to be your decisive, goal-oriented individuals who just cut straight to the point. All right. As we move down to the bottom right quadrant, that's going to be your expressives, and they tend to be relationship focused and tell assertive. So they thrive on energy. They thrive on, these really big out there ideas, and they really focus and thrive on that big picture thinking. Now, if we shift over to the bottom left, that's going to be our amiables. And they're also relationship focused, but they're going to be more ask assertive. And so they value harmony, trust, and teamwork. And then finally, when we finish it up in our top left-hand quadrant, that's going to be our analyticals. And they're task focused and ask assertive. So they really love logic, they love data, structure, and a lot of their decisions really come from, that data, that detailed information. And so when you understand where someone falls within this matrix, it gives you a roadmap for how they prefer to communicate and process information. And so here's where things kind of get interesting, is when we start identifying, once we identify someone's primary social style, that's just the start, okay? And most of us have a secondary style that's going to come into play depending on the situation. And so, for example, you may have a driver, but they have very analytical tendencies, okay? And so you may initially see them as more of a direct and results-driven person, but then put them in a room with other drivers, and you're going to probably start to notice that they're the one that's asking more questions, they're focused more on the data, and they're really trying to gather a lot more information before they're ready to make that decision. Their secondary style is going to be that analytical side really kind of showing through, okay? And so if we kind of shift gears and look at a different example, like, let's just say an expressive with some amiable tendencies, normally the expressive is going to be that big picture thinker, very energetic, but they might tone things down in a group setting, and you may find them kind of lean more towards that collaborative approach, that relationship building, and really what's best for the team, okay? And this is true for all of us. None of us are locked into just one quadrant, okay? We have different levels of versatility, and some people are just naturally more versatile than others. And when that happens, that just means that they're able to move between quadrants with a little bit more ease and without exhausting as much energy, okay? But even if versatility isn't your strong suit, the good news is it's a skill that you're able to develop, okay? And so why does all of this matter? It's because understanding not just the primary, but also the secondary styles, and then developing your own versatility is going to end up making you a better communicator. It's going to make you a better salesperson, a better teammate, and honestly, just an overall better human being, okay? And the thing is we all have personal experience, as I mentioned earlier, in most of these quadrants, okay? And so if you think about it, if you've ever had to, gather detailed research for a project, that's your analytical side. You may not enjoy doing it, but you were able to do it, right? If you've ever managed a team, that's your driver taking charge. If you've been that go-to person for a friend who just needed emotional support, boom, there's your amiable side. Or maybe you've inspired a group of people with a bold new idea, right? That's going to be that expressive side really shining through. And so the key here is really going to be about knowing when to lean into each of those styles and how to recognize what the other person needs in that moment, okay? That's the magic of versatility. And so as we start bringing the episode to a close and kind of wrapping things up, I want to leave you with 3 practical steps to really put this into action, okay? And the first is going to be to map out your matrix. So think about where you naturally fall on the social styles matrix, right? Are you more ask or are you more tell? Do you tend to want to focus more on the task at hand or build those relationships first? And then once you do that, consider what your secondary style may be. Where do you tend to shift in different situations, okay? Secondly, I want you to practice observing others. So the next time you're in a conversation, try to place the other person on that matrix. So are they more focused on, those tasks, or are they focused on building those relationships? And do they tend to ask more questions or share their opinions? And then finally, practice that level of versatility, okay? Really challenge yourself to adapt. And so if you're naturally a driver, try leaning into an amiable approach the next time you're with, one of those more relationship-focused people or, amongst a relationship-focused team. If you're an analytical, try experimenting a little bit with bringing more energy like an expressive when you're pitching a big idea, okay? But get out there and regardless, make sure you're practicing, because the more you practice, the more confident you're going to feel, and the easier those conversations are going to be with your prospects and your customers. So that's a wrap for today's episode of The Sales Chameleon. Please make sure to remember, Social Style Matrix isn't just a tool for understanding others. It's really a way to better understand yourself. And so when you pair that knowledge with versatility, you can truly meet people where they are and create more meaningful, impactful connections. If this episode got you thinking about your own social style, or if you feel like it just might be helpful for anyone you know, make sure that you share it, and definitely be sure to subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Otherwise, until next time, stay curious, keep selling smarter, embrace your versatility, and I will catch you on the next one.
Thanks for listening to the Sales Chameleon podcast.